Hey up, me ducks. How are we doing today? I was just going to say, I was so engrossed in reading the comments that even though I switched on the countdown timer, there was a delay. So I thought I'd got more seconds left than what's showing on here. When I looked up, it was like 2 seconds. I was like, shit. I forgot which kind of reality I was in, which time zone, my time zone or the delay. So it kind of threw me off a little bit there. But anyway, it's lovely to see everybody. I hope everybody's doing okay. I don't have coffee today. I not long had one about an hour ago. So I thought I'll just have some 7-Up free. So let's see who we've got. Excuse me. We've got Scott was the first one in. Nice to see you, Scott, followed by Sandra. Hi, Sandra. And Aris, nice to see you. Robin and Chris. Hi, Chris, Robin and Aris. And Kim, hello, Kim. And Jackie's here, Jackie Jacaranda. How you doing? Oh, Govinda's here. We missed you last night, Govinda. I was all sat poised with my cuppa waiting for you to come on. And we've got Orshi. Hello, Orshi. Deanne, hello. Lovely that you can join us today. And there were 3 dongs. Did you hear the dongs? Was it part of the intro? Or had the intro ended? Maybe I was looking at I needed to cleanse the area with sound vibration. So yeah, could you hear the dongs? Was it in the background of the intro? Because I thought we're muted when the intro is playing, or or was it timed wrong? I know what I'm trying to say. 3 dongs of the bell, that is. Yeah, I'm with you. Linda's here, and Wendy. Hello, Wendy. Ellie, Sean, Gerald. Hello, Gerald. And Neem. Hello, Neem. Lisa, Dee, Zara, Violet. Hello. Oh, my chat just jumped. They ding-donged during the intro. Oh, okay, that's interesting to know, because I thought we were muted during the intro. Me desperately trying to cleanse the place. And yeah, I think I've caught up with everybody. So if I missed anybody coming in, apologies. So first of all, how are we all doing? What day are we on? Tuesday. You lose sense of days when you're off work, don't you? It's nice to have the downtime and to relax and things, but yeah, you do kind of lose track of days sometimes. And Hen's here, hello. Won't be watching chat much as I'm trying to get to sleep. Oh, bless you. Sleep pattern's still not good, Hen. Well, we'll just chat away, and you'll be able to just doze off to my dulcet tones. Working on updating my deck wish list, having fun. My wish list is getting longer and longer. I think it's the longest it's ever been at the moment, which is ridiculous, because it's not like I'm, hard up for decks, but there's just those ones that you tend to be now the ones that I'm going to have to get from overseas. That is such a ball ache. So I have to wait till I've got a pot of money to be able to factor in the cost, the shipping, the tax, and everything else. But yeah, I've got my wish list, but things keep adding to it. The Amazon one, I'm not too worried about, because when payday comes around, I can just pick a couple of things off the Amazon one, or might see some decks in. Oh, there's a helicopter hovering right outside the window. Don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear that? I've got my windows shut, so right outside my window now, and that's with the window shut. So don't know what's going off, what's going down in the city. Yeah, so there may be something, because it's Amazon, it's going to be mass market more or less, so I may be able to pick some things up. Do you have a wish list for Glastonbury? Yeah, as you can see here, my goddess here, I couldn't afford to get both because I brought the beautiful bronze goddess that's on my altar, which I did a video of last night. There is a horned god to go with her. So if there's a shop called Philippa Bower, and it's right by where our accommodation is, actually, that end of the high street. So if they've still got, I could have showed you a picture actually, because I took a picture of it. If they've still got the horned god to go with it, that's top of my wish list. And even if I don't buy anything else, he says, that's top of my wish list. So I want the horned god, so I can redo that little corner and have the god and the goddess together, because I'm all about, the whole sort of the balance. So yes, I do have a wish list for Glastonbury, but not, I've got to get this deck or I've got to get that deck. If I see some in some of the shops that are on my wish list, then I'll pick them up. I don't need herbs. I'm fine for sage and all that kind of things. I need some frothy candles. I always buy a couple of sets of frothy candles for my sacred space. So yeah, but that's from Star Child. But other than that, just see what's there. The police helicopter are hovering to come get Mildred. Yes, can hear a little. Would love to go to Glastonbury. I know it's only 3 days away now. I'm very excited. Hope you get the statue. Me too. Can't wait to go live with our Mr. Benjamin. I'll go live. Can't wait to go live with our Mr. Benjamin. Same Gerald. I didn't see what Gerald says for... I can't see Gerald's comment now. I need candles from Star Child for sure. Yeah. I do wish Star Child hadn't moved. It's nice that they've got bigger premises, but the character of their old shop was so much better when it was just off the high street in the little forecourt area underneath the goddess temple. It was lovely there. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about the 1JJ Swiss tarot, and the kind of the differences. And I know there are more editions than what I've got here. There's an English edition now where all the titles are in English, which, again, maybe if I see it in Glastonbury, I'll pick it up, because it would be interesting to see it in English. But I've always been on a bit of a journey with 1JJ Swiss. So firstly, just to give you a little bit about its history, live, not live, you'll start rumours. And in my mind, I was thinking of the other Benjamin, as in B-Jam. I was like, you're going to go and live with Benjamin? Because Ben, I never think of as a Benjamin. But anyway, a little bit of history then, just so you know what we're talking about regarding 1JJ Swiss. So it is a deck that's derived from the Besançon Tarot. Now, I do have a Besançon. This is the Tarocco di Besançon by Il Meneghello. I've had it for a few years now. It's not my favorite Il Meneghello deck. I think my favorite is either the Vachetta or the Soprafino. But, this is the reason why 1JJ Swiss is derived from Besançon is because what set this deck apart was the fact they substituted the Pope and the Papess for Jupiter and Juno. And that really was, you know, to, at the time, was to kind of not offend Catholics or the Catholic Church. So, I mean, when you see images like this, and they're quite, I love this version because it's very sort of sketchy and rough. You can see the old kind of wood blocks and the colouring. But yeah, so here we go. They're not the 1JJ Swiss isn't a replica of it. It does its own thing. But here you have Jupiter, who is with the eagle, and then we have a peacock for Junon. I love that it's V's as well. I love those old kind of stonemasonry where they couldn't do U's or W's like that, so they were done as V's. But that's so this is a Besançon tarot. I like having Jupiter and Juno. Do you? Yeah, I don't mind it. It's quirky, but it's just part of history now, isn't it? My first ever deck, as a lot of you will know, was the 1JJ Swiss. And that's because at the time, back in 1987, it was probably one of the most popular tarot decks that you could get. We certainly weren't in the age like we're in now, where there's just a plethora of options and genres and everything else. And I can still remember coming into Nottingham, where I am living now, and the shop that was still there now, Ice 9, having, I think, 3 options for tarot, and it was the 1JJ Swiss, the Rider-Waite-Smith, and I can't even remember what the other was. It may have been something like what is it called? The one that follows kind of Greek mythology. The name goes out of my head. Okay, and I am coming on to what it all stands for. But Hen might have fallen asleep, so I'll jump ahead to that. I just don't want to go down rabbit hole or lose my trail of thought. So 1JJ Swiss is 1 is the production number. So I was going to come on to it, you know, AGM and all that sort of stuff. 1 is the production number. JJ is Jupiter and Juno, and Swiss is the country of origin where AGM Müller printed from, their publication house. So that's where 1JJ Swiss comes from. So yeah, and Besançon, even though is an area or town, city in France, eastern France, originally the Besançon Tarot was also in Switzerland, but took its name from the French place Besançon, which it subsequently moved to in the 19th century. So that's a little bit of history around the whole Swiss thing as well. But in 1965, AGM Müller commissioned a Besançon deck and then kind of ordered a reprint of it with clearer lines and colours that we see today. So my first deck is this one. Even though this is I believe 1976, this was still available through the 80s. Now, I haven't had this too long. Sandra sent me this because she had 2 copies, and she said, I don't need 2 copies. Do you want it? And this one was harder to get because it comes as a set, which I'll show you about. Show you, I should say. I suppose where US Games as Stuart Kaplan comes in is around 1970. So it's kind of, it's kind of well known and documented that this deck, the 1JJ Swiss, is what got Stuart Kaplan known as kind of like a tarot entrepreneur, if you like, back in 1970. So yeah, 1JJ Swiss refers to production number, the JJ, Jupiter and Juno, and then Swiss, Switzerland, where it was where AGM Mueller was positioned. And as I said, there is an English version now as well. So I'm going to show you the three versions I have, and then just talk about the subtle differences, really. And it's not necessarily going to be in order of timeline. It's order and how they've come into my timeline. So 1987, I was 16 years of age. It's my first ever job at a theme park. And there was a girl there called Sharon. Her name was Sharon Terry, but we called her Sharon Tarot because we're geniuses. But she used to read tarot cards, and we used to get early in the morning. We'd wait for the keys for our unit that we had to go and open up and wait for our float. And she would very often say, anybody want a tarot reading? And these images in particular that you see on these boxes were really familiar to me, because at the same time, or probably finished a few years before, late 1970s into the 1980s, there was a well-known popular TV program called Tales of the Unexpected, which was narrated by Roald Dahl. And it was kind of tales with twists in them. And I used to love it. And I can still hear the theme tune playing in my mind now. It's really haunting. But as part of the opening sequence, the titles of the show, there was this carousel of tarot cards spinning round, and it was these images. And the death card in particular, you know, was one that really stood out. So, and I must have watched every episode, of which there was over 100. So I'd seen these tarot images on my TV screen week in, week out. And if you do need to catch my attention, do pop it into capitals so I can see it if you've got a question or anything. So I really love this. So this is Tarot, the fortune telling game. It doesn't say on it in the title that it's 1JJ Swiss, but at the bottom it says Tarot 1JJ deck made in Switzerland, and it's got US games all over it. Okay, so this was, I think, 1976. Before that, in 1970, this is my latest one with it's a 2-part box with the gold inside. It doesn't say 1JJ Swiss at all. It just says tarot cards. But what it does say clearly on the bottom, which is missing from newer decks. So if I hold them like that, on the bottom, one says AGM. Okay. And this one says AG Muller. And then on this side, in the more, at the older deck, it's got US Games Systems. Okay. What else was I going to say about that? There's something that just popped into my mind and went. So this was distributed by US Games, New York, made in Switzerland, and it's made by AGM. So it was distributed by US Games. Hello, Angelic. Nice to see you. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one because this was my first one. So this one came with this drawer that pulls out, and when I got this, it answered a few questions, because you've heard me say many times, I used to put the minors to one side and just read with the majors. And I just remember thinking, but why didn't I just learn about them? It does have a book, Tarot Cards for Fun and Fortune Telling. It is written by Stuart Kaplan, as you can see here, by S.R. Kaplan. Now this last print was February 1976. So that gives a date for this deck. First published in June 1970, which is this one. Then September 1970, May 72, June 73, May 74, September 74, and then the last listing here is February 1976. And it's a really nice book, you know, it's what you expect it to be. It's got spreads, it's got your black and white cards and card meanings. But what I really remember from this is this pullout, which has the Celtic cross, although it doesn't call it that. It calls it a ancient 10 card spread. But notice the cards here, look, also show Rider-Waite and other decks. I'm not quite sure what this one is, although it looks quite familiar. Somebody in the chat might be able to say where it's from. So this actually can be used with any deck. But as I was reading through this, and you know when you pick up something that you've not seen for years and years and years, it's like if you go up into your parents' attic and you find a box, it's got all your children's books in there, and you look at the images and you're like, oh, wow, how can 35 years have passed? That image is still ingrained in my mind. Ladybird books do that to me when I see some of the old pictures. They really kind of take you back. I never get these fold-ups back. But anyway, here in this bottom corner, it says what you should do is the various methods of spreading the tarot deck are numerous, and some of them are increasingly complicated. So a simple method offered here, which utilizes only the 22 major arcana cards, although the same spread may be used for the entire deck. The 56 minor arcana cards are to be set aside. The diviner or reader of the deck places 22 major arcana cards in numeric, and it tells you about using this spreadsheet with the majors only. So as a 16-year-old, kind of thinking, wow, you know, these are great, but quite difficult. I can kind of see what I did there. Am I putting this back right or wrong? This is like the Krypton factor. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I think I've got there. I have. There we are. Back to normal. It also comes with a little, even though there's another one inside the box, there's one of these pullouts, which are quite popular with this deck. That deck set the standard for tarot before Rider moved solidly. Yes, yes. Because it's from 1965. But I can remember going back to the story with Sharon Tarot, saying to her, I need to get a tarot deck. I'm fascinated with them. And she took some money. Don't think it was a lot, maybe £5, something like that. And she said, I'll pick your set up. And this is what she brought back. And she said to me that this is the tarot. This is the most popular one. And of course, you know, it was very limited. Simon, do you feel you would get a better reading using majors only in your experience? No, I don't. Not anymore. I think majors only, I don't see any problem with majors only decks, but life isn't always about major events. Life is made up of lots of little things that set us off in different directions or kind of affect our thoughts and behaviors and everything like that. So major arcana, for me, the major and the minor arcana cards are equally as important, because yes, we have big things happening in our lives, but also those little things can build up and become big things. And as I said the other day, for me, the tarot contains 78 different experiences, different situations, different thoughts and feelings and behaviors and potential outcomes. And I think to take the minors out and just deal on the major stuff kind of, I don't know, it misses out those little things. And if there is a major lesson for us to focus on, then those cards are going to come through anyway when you lay down your cards. So in this deck, which is the this is the 1976 deck, the cards are rare. These are the backs, by the way, and the backs are consistent. I don't know about, you know, if you used to buy a deck now, I don't know what the backs are. I'm assuming they're the same. And that's nice that they haven't changed throughout the years. You know, with RWS, sometimes, you know, it was crackle backs, roses and lilies. There's all different types of backs. For this, the card is like, there is a little bit of sheen, but they're very, I'm not going to say cardboardy, but they've got a card kind of feel to them. Now, obviously, this isn't, as I said, this isn't my deck from 1987. What happened to that is anyone's guess. I could try and remember, but I think I'd be speculating as to what happened to it. But whatever, I moved around a lot, particularly in my teenage years, so it probably got left behind somewhere. This was sent to me by Sandra, and it was like stepping back in time. The first deck that I bought, so when I came back into the community, as in this community, when I discovered it, not back into it, but back working with tarot more than things like soul cards, which I'd worked with for a number of years, I really wanted to get my first deck again. And it's probably something like my third or fourth video on YouTube is where I talked about getting this. And I just went onto eBay, I saw this one and I bought it. Now, I believe this one is from around the 1990s. Okay, because it said on it something like rare vintage. The problem is I can't date it because the little instruction book just has the copyright of 1970 on it. It doesn't have a printing date, which is a shame. But from everything I can work out from research online and things like that, and from my memory at the time of buying it, I think it was around the mid 1990s. Now, this is okay, but, and again, you might see it in the light, it's quite glossy, you know, when we started to get that heavier lamination and stuff like that. Again, still with these backs, these plaid backs. But yeah, kind of glossy, nice, they feel nice. But this deck, which is the one I've received recently, and the reason why I'm doing this is, you know, yesterday when everything crashed and I said I've got a pile of stuff here at the side of me that I've got to do walkthroughs. I've been meaning to do a walkthrough of this since I got it about a month, maybe 5-6 weeks ago. And I've not got around to doing it. And then I thought, well, it might be fun to have a look at the differences. This wasn't expensive. Well, I say it wasn't expensive. To say it is a 1970, the box is a little bit dinged up, but I like that. The cards are in pristine condition. I paid less than £30. So I think about 28 something was what I got this for. And it was a buy now, you know, on eBay. You could bid or you could buy now or make an offer, one of the two. I think it was just a buy now, and I just bought it, and it came. And there's such a difference with this. So again, the 2-part box, and it will say Waddington's, a bit like, you know, the blue box from the same area. If you get a Blush and Fall, it's the one that says Waddington's on it. You get this card here, and you'll see there, Waddington's Playing Card Co. Wakefield Road, London, not London, Leeds, sorry. And it tells you all the other tarot decks and other popular gift items. Because, you know, tarot should be gifted. I don't believe that, by the way. I don't believe that. Gosh, can you imagine? So Tarot de Marseille, Grand Atelier Tarot, or Atelier, James Bond Tarot, which is now Tarot of the Witches, Fergus Hall, Rider-Waite Tarot Deck, Tarot Classic, Florentine Box, Hector Detroit, Easy to See, and Pictorial Playing Cards. You then got this little advertisement cards, but I love, now this cardstock is lovely. So it is, and this is why all three are different. The 1990s one feels quite heavy laminate and glossy. The one from 1976 in the set with the tall box is cardboardy. This one is really, really soft. It just feels really nice. There's no lamination on it at all. It's card, but it's got that soft feeling to it, similar to the blue boxes or yellow boxes of the same time. But it would be, wouldn't it? Because it's Waddington's and, you know, of that age. So I just thought I would show you some of the cards, and, you know, any questions or anything like that, then join in, or any comments. Let me just have a sup of my same backs. I have it new. Oh, that's good to know, Sean. And your new one, are the titles in French or are they in English? Because I believe now they've swapped to having English. The problem I've got, even though I kind of want to get an English version, they've changed the suit. So like deniers, which is coins, has become pentacles. And oh, what was the other change? Batons became ones. So I'm like, I get why they're doing it. They're trying to bring it up into you know, what we're all used to having, but it doesn't keep its authenticity if deniers becomes pentacles and batons become ones. What year did the two-part box come out, please? 1970. So this is from 1970. So the year I was born, and I love it that there's a deck from the year I was born, which turned out to also be my first ever tarot. Now, I know not everybody likes the Fool in the one JJ Swiss, particularly when this is a Besançon deck, because, you know, it's kind of replaced the Fool as like the Joker within playing cards, the kind of the Fool as in the court jester type Fool. You know, we don't have the dog chasing his behind or anything like that. I do think coins and pentacles feel quite different. Yeah. Although, you know, I can see the similarity. They both represent, you know, the kind of physical realm of the earth aspect, and money is part of the whole sort of suit of pentacles and earth, isn't it? But I do get what you're saying. And I really love the colours. So they've gone back to using the kind of the main colours of blue, yellow and red. And I'm showing this one out of all three because there is a crispness and clarity with this 1970 version. Have I missed any other questions? Gotta run, babysitting time. All right, Orshi, you've probably gone by now, but okay. So we have Junon with the peacock, as you'll see here, replacing what we would know in a modern tarot deck as High Priestess, but La Papesse. The Empress, and I love kind of look at the shading at the side of the face, the lines and everything. So it's very clear, crisp and clean, which was what back in 1965, what AGM Mueller wanted to have when they commissioned this, and they wanted a reprint of a Besançon emperor. Lou's here. Hello, Lou. Nice to see you. We're just talking about the differences with the 1JJ Swiss. So this is the 1990s, which was the first one I got this time round. This was my first ever deck in 1987. And then the 1970 two-part box, which you can still get on eBay, just to bring people up to speed. So, and then the other change, obviously the Hierophant, as we know in a modern tarot, which was the Pope, and the Besançon deck removed Pope as well as Papess, so as not to offend the Catholic Church, which was prominent in that time, in that region, particularly around the town of Besançon, or city, whatever it is. I'm not sure if it's a town or a city. I think it's a city. Our lovers. I'm not a fan of Juno and Jupiter, as they were actual gods as opposed to conduits of the gods like the Hierophant and the High Priest. Yeah, exactly. But the step away from Catholicism and Christianity was, you know, by using old gods. I suppose they couldn't be accused of any sort of blasphemy from the church. And these images are so ingrained with this, you know, when you find your first deck again and connect with it again. I love that Wheel of Fortune. Obviously, because it's following the lineage of Marseille, we've got strength at 11 because justice is at 8. Hanged Man. I do think that this is probably one of the best death cards ever. It's very simple, but I really like it. And this image is just so popular. And those of you who are my age that will remember Tales of the Unexpected, and do YouTube it. You can type into YouTube Tales of the Unexpected opening credits or opening sequence. This image, seeing it week in, week out, and having that sort of intrigue. What's also really important, well, I say important, unusual for this deck is notice the 4. So instead of 14 here being X, I, V, we get X, I. And that is the same with the Besançon as well. It's the same in here. So they have kept that, which is quite unusual. As you'll see here for the Emperor, it's 4 I's rather than IV. Again, another image that is so iconic. I just remember studying that card and an absolute sort of despair, you know, hands clasped over her face, whatever he's performing or about to do. What Sandra said. The colours are really good on this deck. They are, and they're really vibrant in this older deck. I mean, they've managed to, it's pretty consistent all the way through the years, to be fair. But whether it's because this paper is so soft and matte, they just seem a little bit sharper. Pastor. The Moon card is one that really stands out as well. It's very different, very different. We've almost got like a a Romeo and Juliet type scene depicted under the moon there. And what was again with the Besançon, what was quite unique is the fact that the moon is looking face on rather than a side profile for the time. My son is currently watching Tales Unexpected, so it must be showing on Freeview or Netflix. Oh, please let it be on Netflix. I'll end up binge watching them. I still remember the first ever episode. It was where there was somebody had got their hand tied to a deck with a meat cleaver over it, and they was striking a lighter because he said his lighter never fails him. Every time he presses it, a flame comes. And he said, if you press it and the flame doesn't come, I'll remove a finger. And I can just remember it. The sun. So there really are beautiful, beautiful images. I have the older edition of this deck. It's lovely and Old Faithful. So have you got this version then, which is the 1970? Again, notice here with when it comes to the world card, there are two animals missing, you know, so that made it quite unusual. Now, this is something as well that sets apart the older decks from the new. So the Two of Cups has here A.G. Mueller and Company, okay, on the bottom, as does the one in here, because this is 1976. In the 1990s, on this one that's heavier set with its lamination and stuff, what we get is that. Excuse the sirens. Yes, you've got the 1970s as well. Can you see the slight color difference as well? I mean, the modern one, the background is very white, whereas this one is kind of like a off-white, and whether that's aging, but it's consistent all the way through the deck. You can kind of see the differences there. But yeah, so the older versions have this Two of Cups, where the newer one just has the Two of Cups like that. Don't want to get these mixed up, although I can tell them apart now. Gosh, that's pretty. It is such a pretty deck. And I think, and I fell prey to this, you know, when a deck is really popular way back and then we get all new decks coming out and we're like, oh, that's a nice deck. We tend to forget sometimes just how beautiful old decks are. And these aren't large cards either. If I show you with the US Games card, they're smaller. Maybe a little bit bigger than Fournier, the Fournier one I showed yesterday, but yeah, they are smaller. So I'll show you a couple of the minors. Let me take out the really nice, bright, bold colors. I was confused when I first had it. Is that because you weren't used to pips, or was that because of the switch with the Pope and Papez? So beautiful. My late dad bought it from me from Beatties, an old department store in Wolverhampton. And what year would that be? Was that like kind of late 80s? They were so popular, these decks. And there was a part work probably about 15, 16 years ago called Mind, Body, Spirit. And you could subscribe to it and they would send you a different magazine each week. And there was a tarot set that built up over time. Now they had different backs, but they were this deck as well. We'll check out where it's on and let you know, Simon. Check out where it's on. Oh, Tales Unexpected. Yes, please do. I'd love to watch them again. I can also remember this one where he had a tattoo on his back and everybody was, you know, interested in it. And then in the end, it was in a picture frame in an antique shop window. They'd actually skinned him for his tattoo. Well, lots of weird stories, but the best one was the Pauline Collins and Joan Collins one. Really, really good story that was. And they always had this twist at the end. So yeah. So that's the 1JJ Swiss. All three of these feel very different, but all are quite available. What I would say, because this is what happened with the blue box. When I first bought a blue box, it turned out to be a Blushing Fool. I paid £30 for it. We do videos and we start talking about it and it becomes sought after. And now, you know, if you can get a blue box Blushing Fool for less than £100, £150, you're lucky. Get them now, because once people are like, oh wow, the 1JJ Swiss, there's a 1970s version and this beautiful papery feel, then you know, it's going to be probably become one of them that's sought after, and at the moment they're not expensive, but you do want to try and get Waddingtons. Where did I put the little white book for it? Not quite sure where I've popped that. I gave up trying to get a blue box. Never give up. All it takes is for someone to list it who doesn't really know what they've got. You know, it could be a house clearance, or you could always find it in an antique shop or a charity shop. My son says he watches Tales Unexpected on Prime Amazon. I've got Prime Amazon. That's tonight's viewing sorted. Oh no, who's on tonight? Tuesday. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's on a Tuesday. Let me just have a look back then and see if there's any questions. Tales Unexpected episode 1. I was about to click on it then so you could hear the theme tune, but I'd probably get a copyright slapped on me if I did that. Now I have to look to see what year I have of this deck when I get home. It's an older one. Yeah, some won't tell you either, unless, Kim, you've got this one that has the book, because if you get the book, it shows you the last year of printing with it. But if you just buy one like this, like I did, I'm kind of guesstimating that this is mid-90s, and it's probably from memory, a lot of it, from when I bought it off eBay. But there's nothing to really indicate that, because it will just have the little white pamphlet that says copyright 1970. But this one, the giveaways, is it doesn't say 1JJ Swiss on it. It just says tarot cards. It still says complete with instructions, because that carried on as well into the 80s and 90s, complete with instructions. This one has AGM at the bottom, and this one doesn't on the front, but it does there. and then credits US games for distribution on the bottom, on the top, sorry. And it's a 2-part box with a gold tray underneath. So tarot cards, 2-part box, gold tray, US games and AGM. And then when you open it up, there'll be a card that says Waddington's in there. And that's the 1970 print. So, no book. Yeah. Have a look when you get home, Kim. You never know. There was a lot of stuff around about Crowley at the time. I remember reading about him, and Helen Blavatsky, occult literature, was around at the time, but I found it difficult to come by. But I'm not quite sure. There was a lot of stuff around Crowley at the time. I remember reading about him and Helen Blavatsky. Occult literature was around at the time, but I found it difficult to come by. What did you find difficult to come by? The 1J Swiss, Nicole. I don't think they're difficult to come by now. Although I've not seen it in a shop. It's not as popular in shops and things as it once was. And as I say, I think it was Marcia from Musings by Marcia who showed her vintage copy, and the new copy she was showing had English titles on it, and I thought, well, that's quite unusual. I bought the set from Leeds around 1975. Ooh. And was it just in the red box, or is it one like this? I think, because this was also from that time. See if it's anything else. Sounds like a Ray Bradbury book. I'm not sure who Ray Bradbury is or what that's in reference to. For me, it was the pips as a block, so took a long tarot detour to RWS. Yeah, and I was the same, particularly with that mat suggesting, you know, put the minors to one side and work with the majors. So I took that easy route. But I did feel like I was, you know, only working with half a deck, and what's the point of having these cards if I'm never going to use them? So then having the RWS with fully illustrated deck. And my friend Jen, who the year after I ended up doing a flat share with, because it was easier for work, had the RWS. So I was aware of it. And remember thinking, oh, wow, that's different. But it wasn't until 2008, so 13 years ago, that I bought an RWS. Does anyone know when the tarot conventions are going to start up again in the US? Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? There are a lot of things starting back up around now, depending on what's happening where you are in the world. But there are also people that are kind of like writing this year off and thinking we'll plan everything. I know certainly where I work, we're not having any events until 2022. So maybe, you know, they might wait, because nobody wants to set that all in motion to have to go through another lockdown or cancelling, do they? So a lot of people are waiting now until 2022 to do stuff. I already had the deck you're reviewing, but it was the mid-70s. I wanted to know more, but there wasn't much available in local bookshops. Oh, to research about the deck, yeah. And that's why I found having this version really useful, because there was that book and there was the sheet that helped you lay your cards out. So it was a real sort of starter kit, and maybe why it was so popular back then in that format as well, because if you are learning tarot, you've got a book and you've got a sheet and everything to help you. Mine came in the gilt papier-mâché box with the Queen and King of Wands on the box around 1974. That would be interesting to see. Mine is in the large box and seems to be an 8 printing, 1977. So that's the year after this one. So where you need to be looking, if you have got this, is in the fortune telling book. You open it up, it's printed on the inside, you've got these cards on the inside, and then here you've got the dates listed from 70 all the way to this one, which is 76, but the copyright will be 1970 by Stuart Kaplan. So spreading the 78 card deck. So they've separated them off there at the bottom. It's really interesting to read how the advice and things that was given 50 years ago, isn't it? And I love this at the end of the book. Ask your dealer, it sounds like you're on drugs, ask your dealer for a tarot catalogue or send 25 cents for a full colour tarot catalogue to US Game Systems, 468 Park Avenue South, New York. Just send 25 cents. How did you send 25 cents back then? Would you put it in like an envelope? Here's me 25 cents. I don't even say send a check or anything like that. And look at these elaborate spreads. Facebook group. What's this a Facebook group for? I think there was an event that Rachel Pollock did at the end of July, just there. Omega Institute. Postal order. Yeah, but it doesn't even say that. It just says send 25 cents for a full tarot catalogue. Taped it to the piece of paper and put it in an envelope. Yeah, I think they actually did. I think Newts is supposed to resume October 22. Wow, so another well over a year yet. Under new management. Oh, under new management. That's interesting. Is the one in New York? Mind you, I'm aiming to go in August, not October. I'd only have a week if I went in October. So that's it. Well, how long we've been on? Been on an hour. I think I haven't really got anything more to say about it, but I just wanted to kind of share with you those three that I've got. And yeah, thanks for watching. Unless there's anything else before I go. There won't be any more lives because tomorrow I've got a pretty full day. I'm out in the morning. And then I've got a Liminal 11 deck that's arrived at my parents' today. So I'm picking that up tomorrow and I need to film a walkthrough of that. Then I need to pack because I've got work on Thursday that I've got to go in for. And then Friday we set off for Glastonbury. So yeah, so there won't be a live now until touring Glastonbury, but which will be fun. So thank you for watching. Pull a card for the collective. Yes, I can do. What did we use this yesterday, didn't we? Let's Oracle of Echoes. A proper trip down memory lane. For me too, every time I get the 1JJ out and see those images, it's just, I'm 16 again, you know, full of awe and wonder. Hi and bye, Lou. Can't wait for Glastonbury vlogs. Okay, card for us to focus on. Oh, that's perfect. It's time for rest, people. I feel like actually I've had a day of blissful rest. I had my first lay-in in I don't know how long. I've taken it easy. I've just done a little bit of food shopping. I've watched Netflix. I've chilled out. I've had nowhere to go today that I've had to get to. And I feel very, very rested. And it's really important for all of us that no matter how busy our lives are, that we do find a balance between work, rest, and our social activities, whatever we do, because rest is equally important, and we should try and spend a third of our lives resting at least. It's not just our body that it benefits, but also our mind. You know, if we don't rest, particularly our mind, and whatever form that might take, it could be sitting, you know, in meditation or quiet contemplation, but rest for the mind, the body, and the spirit pays dividends. It really does pay dividends. In that beautiful image of the butterfly on the leaf, really gorgeous. So make sure that you get plenty of rest. It's very timely that that's come up while I'm off work. I'm about to go away for a few days as well, because it will be restful, you know, sitting in a pub, having a few drinks, doing some walking around shops, meeting people, and then going to the coast, being by the sea. It's all nice, all good rest. All right, thank you, everybody. Look after yourselves, and I'll be back with a pre-recorded video tomorrow. And then, other than the lives in Glastonbury, a week on Saturday when I get back from the coast, there'll be a cup of catch-up and cards at the usual time. So not this Saturday with being away, but the Saturday after. So look after yourselves, and until next time, go in peace. Namaste, and blessed be.